We have hoops on the ground in Arlington, Arizona. We are at the Arlington Cattle Company. We are across old US Highway 80 from Agua Caliente Road, and we are headed to a little Arizona history, tuberculosis history, and I'm guessing some hippie history, to a place called Sundad. This is Agua Caliente Road, or Hot Water Road. It is named for a hot spring that is at a resort called, oddly enough, Agua Caliente at the end of this road. And it is no longer a hot spring as far as I know. I don't think it went out of activity in the early part of the 20th century, but that was a health resort. It was thought that the waters of a hot spring could cure just about anything, and people would flock out here to enjoy those. But we are not going there today. Our destination is quite a ways before you get to that point. Today, Agua Caliente Road is a dirt superhighway used by ranchers and campers and folks getting from one community to another out here. We are into really beautiful Arizona winter weather. A little chilly when I left this morning. It was about 37 degrees Fahrenheit or 2 degrees Celsius. Right now it's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 10 degrees Celsius. That is your Arizona weather report. But it makes for good riding. Comfortable, little chilly to start off, but not horrible in any particular way. I don't mind riding in the 110s during the summertime, but it does tend to wear on you. It is a physical drain riding in that high of heat. And luckily that's usually just getting out of the desert elevations up into the, I guess you would call it, alpine elevations. So you're riding in that for an hour and a half or so, depending on where you're going. And in that period of time, being so hot and dry, you definitely get dehydrated no matter how much water you drink. And I've been known to lose 5 to 7 pounds on a just one-day trip, but it's not a recommended recommended diet procedure anyway. Not good for you. And if you're not constantly drinking water, it can be detrimental for sure. We're not terribly far from our destination. However, we are terribly far from civilization, that's for sure. Those boys are going the same place I am. This is Sundad, Arizona. Made it to Sundad, Arizona, and you will find yourself there when you see this rock art on the ground. No one knows exactly who put these here, but there's a whole bunch of different little designs. This one is a crucifix, 3 circles for some reason. There is peace signs, several of them, maybe what those small circles were. There is what I believe is an ankh, if I'm not mistaken. No, that is not an ankh. That is a anchor. There's a star with a circle in the middle. And right across the front there is spelled Sundad. I try to keep negative things out of it, but amongst all this historic rock art, I suppose when this was made, it would be kind of the same thing. Someone has decided to stack rocks of their own here much more recently. Please don't stack rocks. I'm going to attempt to give you guys some elevation so you can read Sundad, S-U-A-N-D-A-D. Not sure what that squiggly is on the end there. Maybe you can get a bird's eye view. Rock art down here. Well, my adventure friends were not receiving guests, which is fine with me. I'm not that much of a personable kind of person, but did get a wave out of them. We're all, three of us were riding the exact same motorcycle. Now it's kind of weird they didn't even venture down to the ghost town. They just stopped at the rock art at the end, and my assumption is that they would have known where they were, because you wouldn't have stopped there. I mean, it's not something you can actually, you have to know where you're going, what it is to actually stop there. So who knows? None of my business. Well, there's a pretty healthy drop into the wash here, so I'm going to, since I'm alone, I'm going to halt my forward motion here. Well, we're leaving the relative comfort and safety of the bike and heading out on our little hike here. My concern was this side of the wash more than the other. Last time I was out here, many years ago, this was all boulders and super washed out. Still not looking like much of a picnic right now. Not a huge challenge there, but try to lower my risk when I'm, I don't know, it's about 35 miles to the pavement the way I came in, and probably 20 miles or so to pavement if you head out towards Interstate 8. So directly behind me is Sundad, and like a lot of things in Arizona, this area started with mining, and I think that's the genesis of the buildings that are here. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a mine here. I don't know if it played out or ran out of money, whatever. It was taken over in the 20s by some folks that wanted to help out people with tuberculosis. Kind of a desert air is supposed to have been better for their lungs. There's less allergens, so on and so forth. So they moved people here that were sick with tuberculosis. Number one, to get them away from general population, and also for them to have a better existence through less allergens and things like that in the air that affected your lungs. I'm not a doctor. I don't know a lot about tuberculosis other than my grandmother passed away from it in the 1940s. So after the tuberculosis sanatorium, if that's what you want to call it, the folks that were here, a few of them stayed on. There was a couple that lived here into the mid-50s when the husband passed away. So after the last residents left, there's some references in local newspapers that this became a ghost town and vacant into the 1960s. Sometime in the late 60s or in the 70s, it's thought that by some folks, because this isn't a place that has a whole lot on the internet for information, but it's thought that some hippies may have camped out here in some of the buildings. I'll show you, they're actually just foundations now, but it's thought that those folks came out here, lived in the small structures that was the sanatorium, and made these little rock art deals. Another hypothesis is that in the 70s, a lot of the off-roading culture that we love today was in its infancy, if not toddlership, and a lot of folks came out here, stayed in the buildings, and made these little structures when they camped out here. Looks like someone's been messing with the broken glass in that one. Up in the distance on that hill up there and over here, you can see the evidence of the mining operation. Won't be going up there, there's not much to see. There's a couple of concrete structures, and over here there's a water tank. Also evidence of a gone by mining era. This right here, the floor pan and the gas tank were from either a Model T or a Model A. There was actually quite a bit of a vehicle still here. It was a pickup truck, and over time things disappeared. The body, the frame, there was a full motor here. All that's gone except for these few parts, including a leaf spring over there. We often see a lot of these places vandalized or robbed, and that's why I don't put a whole lot of info in my vlogs about it. There's some in there, and I do catch a little flack over that. However, there's enough information out there if you want to try and dig to get you to this place. I figure if you take the effort to uncover this location and make the nearly half a day ride, however you get out here, you make all that effort, you're probably not going to wreck the place, and at least I would hope not. So as we look down here, I think this was the main building, but you see this little road that goes down there, this dirt road. On both sides there's foundations, so there was small little bungalows or cabins or cabinettes or whatever you want to call them on either side. So even here, the foundation is slowly degrading and going away. Right here looks like an old fireplace. I don't know if it was part of the building or not. All types of obtainium in there. Some old cans and part of a bed. Whose guess is as good as mine? Maybe some type of water catchment or water storage. Roof cap for a wood stove. So one thing, if you're out in the desert and you're not from here, or maybe you're from here and you're eating your lunch and you're throwing down orange peels and you think they're going to just melt into the soil, those things last for years out here. They dehydrate, turn into orange leather, and kick around for years and years. It's orange, it doesn't belong here. And also peanuts, pistachios, all those kinds of leavings. Just because it's food doesn't mean you can just leave it here. Moving along to the first foundation, other than the main one over there. You actually see where they had a toilet, water closet, loo, depending on where you're from. I don't know where that would flush to, maybe over to the wash. I'm not sure. You can see where there was maybe some type of main entrance there. A door. Part of the roof over there, corrugated metal, the ubiquitous roofing material of early Arizona. Pretty good trash pile from the buildings down in the wash area there. I suppose everything's just kind of blowing or being washed down into the dry wash down there. My assumption is that this is a sewer cistern. That's where it flushes to. So if you've got that shack over there and these other ones, they probably put in a little sanitary sewer system that would drain down into here. The solids would get trapped there, effluent water out the pipe into the wash, and it was probably stinky. I'm sure it wasn't probably the best existence out here, but it is very pretty and picturesque. Does make me wonder how supplies got out here. Even today, you're a fair distance from any store, a Walmart, Starbucks, or convenience store. This rock art here, someone has found that piling up a bunch of obtainium in the middle was an artistic idea. But as you can see, there's two more foundations here, two more foundations over here, and again, more rock art down the middle. Apparently there's some naked hikers here. For the benefit of this channel, I will not be doing that. You'll have to go to the pay channel to see that. I'm going to hike back over to the bike and we'll see you back there. You can kind of see the elevations out here. The top of the hill, the bike's in the middle, and then it goes down into the wash. The wash is probably another 15 feet below, probably 20 feet below the bike there. Thanks for coming out with me to Sundad, Arizona, little ghost town, Arizona history. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, like, and share. Adios.